Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm not at Old Trafford. I'm in the studio, which means it's live. So get involved in the comments, hit that like button, and let us know what you think about any of the latest stories. Whether you've got any stories, are you ITK? If you are, get in the comments and give us a heads up on what's going down at the latest news with Manchester United Football Club. As you can see from the graphic or the thumbnail, we've got a bit of a story from Eurosport regarding potentially a double swoop for Jude, Bellingham and Erling Haaland. Sounds too good to be true, that one, doesn't it? But as I often tell you, my job is to let you guys know what everyone is saying in the papers, so we'll get to that one in a minute. We've also got some stories regarding Paul Pogba's future. Paul Labille Pogba's future has been a story for the past 10 years. I remember talking about it when he was in the academy in 2011. Was he going to stay at Manchester United? 10 years later, we're still here, and I'm still bald. So we'll give you an update on that one. And also, Diogo Dalot. He's feeling a bit like confident that he's going to get his spot at right back if he ever really had it. So we'll go on to that one. First of all, though, a story regarding Jesse Lingard and the messages of support that he's had. Because, as you well know, he made a mistake against Young Boys. Laid on the goal in the last kick of the game, almost won it, and cost us a point against Young Boys. Now, we've had Jesse Lingard on the channel when we were full-time Devils. We've had him on several times when he was at loan at Brighton, when he's at Manchester United. We've had him on a few times. He's a diehard United fan who loves Manchester United Football Club. I think he's been at the club since he's 8 years old. Now, I'm not going to say that he didn't make a mistake. He did. I'm not going to say it wasn't a bad one, because it was. But he's had quite a lot of abuse. He had abuse at the ground, I think. If the videos, I've not verified them, but it looks like it was. I've seen some videos doing the rounds on social media of people giving him grief outside the stadium. Now, I get it. I've been away in Europe and seen us lose to poor opposition. I've seen, I've been at games where you're frustrated. And, we've all done it from the stands. We've all, I think anyone who's been to a game at one point or another has shouted at a player, oh, man, what are you doing? All that sort of stuff. I'm not into it, though. I'm not into abusing players. I'm not into, personally, going after them after the game and giving them dogs abuse. He knows he made a mistake. He's spoken about on social media. I'm not a big fan of that, even being honest. Players going, mea culpa, I'm sorry. I just think, you don't need to keep doing that. I think we see it all the time with players, and it's just not for me, that. But Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes have offered him their support. Jesse had posted on his socials. He said, last night hurt. Every time I pull on the shirt, I hope people understand what it means to me. I always go out wanting to do the best for the club, the team, and the fans. I'm upset for my part in the defeat. Mistakes happen in football, but we pick ourselves up and go again. I think we're almost into this stage now, aren't we, where players have made a little bit of a rod for their own back. Because I think if you don't say anything, then some people, not me, will go, why has he not posted? Why has he not said anything? Doesn't he care? But I think we need to draw a line under it. I think we need to stop doing these posts when we lose or when someone makes a mistake. I love Marcus Rashford to bits. And I think he's been such a big influence and important voice for so many people on and off the football pitch. He's just a fantastic person. But when he missed his penalty and he was doing his social media posts, I think he shouldn't have to do that for England, I'm talking about. I don't feel like we should have to, these young lads, or I'm not going to say, I won't get into the whole thing of Jesse's not a youngster, but these lads should have to explain themselves or defend themselves or apologise. It's just not for me personally. But get involved in the comments and let us know what you think. Anyway, he's been backed up by his teammates, and rightly so. Fernandes wrote, we lose together and we win together. It's true. Pogba added, the true measure of success is how many times you can bounce back from failure. We strong, bro. And Diogo Dalot commented, always with you. We win and lose together. I remember in the derby once at Old Trafford, Jesse Lingard was having a bit of a stinker in the first half. And Paul Pogba went over to him, put his arm around him, like with his hand around his neck, and had a little whisper in his ear. And I think he was just saying, just come on, mate. Don't worry. We got you. Just get hold of the ball. Keep it simple. Do, couple of touches where you don't give possession away or whatever. I don't know what I'm guessing. I had a little word with him. Jesse seemed to calm down. What made me laugh is Wayne Rooney was a captain at the time. Pogba had a word with him. Wayne Rooney saw it, then he went over and had a word with him. Not a shouting, not because he was losing the ball quite a lot and the crowd were getting on his back, but little words of encouragement. And we know that Jesse, he's had his issues off the pitch. It's well documented. He's spoken about them himself, about his mental health and stuff like that. And I think he is one of those players that can do with a bit of TLC sometimes. He has this attitude, this is the wrong word. He has this aura, doesn't he, of sort of devil-may-care, and he doesn't, nothing gets to him, and he's like, happy-go-lucky. But you can see from his interviews and from where he's spoken and from what's gone on that he can be a player that, does feel it when he's being criticised, does feel it when things aren't going as well, and does feel it when he makes a mistake. So whilst it was a bad mistake, I'm not into this idea that we have to pillory players and hammer them on social media and go after him after the game and all that. That's not for me. And I'm glad to see that his teammates are backing him. I'm just going to go into some of the chats and see what you guys are thinking about it as well. Mood Swing Gaming says, such a massive overreaction to one loss. It was just a bad day at the office and we'll be fine. Sean Livesey says, yes, Jay lad. All right, mate. Igor Stravinsky, he says Lingard is not United level. You can make that point. I'm not saying you can't question footballers and say, I don't think he's good enough, or I don't think he should be starting, or whatever. I'm just not into the abuse. I'm not into it. King Nidge says, why is it such a huge meltdown after one defeat? There's a few people talking about Pep. Pep rallying City fans says, Ace Nog 123, to get to the stadium, little does he know that all of them are already there. People talking about, just tantrums, and Oliver Morrison says Lingard is quality. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into this just about Jesse Lingard. I think for me, it's more about, does it achieve anything going after these players on socials? I think you can post I'm not telling what people to do. You do what you want, on socials. Just for me personally, I'll post when I'm annoyed or when I'm upset about something or whatever, when, results haven't gone our way. I don't tend to do it as much any often because I just find United Twitter sometimes can just be toxic. But I'm not into just going after players and attacking him, and I'm certainly not into waiting for him after the game. I know you're upset. I know you spent a lot of money to go and watch him, and I've been there myself, and I've spent a lot of money. I've took time off work. You've gone abroad. You're looking forward to it, and we've not turned up. I've been in a few games like that, but I'm not one for, all right, okay, let's give all these people abuse. I just don't. I think it's counterproductive. I really do. Should we get to the main story? I'm sure most of you are interested in. Now, this is the one regarding Erling Haaland. I don't know if you've heard of him. Striker, plays for some club called Dortmund, whoever they are. And also Jude Bellingham. Now, of course, these are two of the biggest names in the history of association football, sort of. And we've been linked with him. Now, it says here, right, this is from Eurosport. Manchester United, ambitious Borussia Dortmund double swoop for Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland. Ambitious. That word's doing a lot of heavy lifting, isn't it? Ambitious. It's beyond ambitious for us to go for two of the best youngsters on the planet at football, obviously, not just in general. It's a bit of a bold statement, isn't it? And it says Manchester United are ready to return to Borussia Dortmund in the transfer market, with the club keeping an eye on the highly rated duo of Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland. Because this has come from The Independent. The Independent revealed that there is, I got it on Eurosport, there is cautious optimism at Old Trafford that Bellingham will follow in the footsteps of Jadon Sancho by joining Manchester United. And the 18-year-old has even asked his former teammate about the setup and vibe at his new club. The report also states that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is keen on recruiting Dortmund striker Haaland, who reportedly has a transfer release clause that becomes active in the summer of 2022. So there's a few things to unpick from that, and I'll do my best to do it. We know that Erling Haaland has a buyout clause. I think, I always get my figures wrong. Is it 63 million quid? Around 70 million euros, I think. It's doable as a transfer fee. The issue you've got with Haaland is everyone wants him. Everyone is going to go for him next summer. No, I think if City don't go for Kane again in January, they'll probably be in the mix. Chelsea probably not because they've got Lukaku. Maybe Liverpool look at him. I'm not so sure. Maybe they do. Real Madrid have been linked with him quite a lot, and it seems there's some sort of, I wouldn't say an agreement now, an arrangement, but there's been dialogue already. So you're looking at least a couple of clubs there. Barcelona, I don't know what's going on with them. We're going to get to them in a little while, but they've had all sorts of issues regarding transfer fees. So are they going to be able to come up with any cash for Erling Haaland? I'm not so sure. But there's always going to be clubs going in for someone like that. Bayern Munich, it's been a bit quiet on that front. They like to get Dortmund's best players, don't they? So I wouldn't be surprised if Bayern Munich came in for him as well. So on the Erling Haaland front, that is one part of it. Yeah, I'd expect United to be interested in him. He has got a relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We tried to get him when he went to from Salzburg to Dortmund. He worked with Ole at Mulder. A big issue is going to be his wages are going to be ridiculous because of the fact you've also got a lesser transfer fee. If you can close 60 odd million quid lesser, but it would be about 120, 130 million money if he didn't have a buyout clause. So he's gonna, Mino Raiola's gonna look at that and go, well, you've saved 70 million on his fee, you can give us that in wages. There was reports doing the rounds earlier in the summer that Chelsea were interested in him, but were put off by a sort of payment structure that almost got to £500 million when you're looking signing on fees and wages and agent fees and all that sort of stuff. So we'll have to wait and see. Hit the like button, by the way. Get involved and hit that like button if you're watching the video. Obviously, if you're watching the video, you can't hit the like button if you're not doing. Let's get to. We've got 41 likes. Come on, man. I'm embarrassed by that. I'm like Pep Guardiola, begging fans to come to the game against Southampton or whatever is the playing. Give us a like, hit that like button. Let's get to 200 likes. We're on 46 in a minute. Come on. So it looks like that transfer could be astronomical. Are United going to have all that money if it is a massive wage? And that means you've got to put, some other players might have a thing in their contract where they have to have a parity with other players on their wages. So, for example, what I'm getting at there is if Erling Haaland comes in and his wages are, say, 600k a week or 700k a week, and someone like Paul Pogba just signed a new deal and part of his contract might say, I will always be, joint highest paid player at his club, and if someone comes in and gets a pay rise that's above mine, I will get a pay rise to match theirs. That happens. That's a thing that happens in football. So that increases the amount of money you're spending. Raiola's going to want the world on a stick as an agent fee. There's going to be a massive sign-on fee, so it could cost a lot. We'll have to wait and see whether Manchester United have that kind of money. You could argue that when you buy a player like Haaland, it increases the value of the club. I know shirt sales is a bit of a misleading one, but just in terms of what he brings to the team and the club itself, he almost brings in a lot of revenue and stuff like that. I'm not so sure. I'm the least financial type expert in the world, so I'm not going to get involved in all that. I'll let smarter men than myself do that. But it's one of those where you think getting in Ireland kind of makes sense from a football point of view and from a club point of view. It just depends on how big that fee is. Now, Bellingham's a different story. Bellingham, I think he's not got a buyout clause. He's obviously he's only 18. He's been at Dortmund already a couple of years. We tried to get him from Birmingham City. We pulled out all the stops if the reports were to be believed. I was stood outside Old Trafford and I was like talking about Jude Bellingham meeting Sir Alex Ferguson, going down to Carrington. Apparently his dad, I think, was involved in negotiations, pulling out all the stops there. They just felt Dortmund was a better fit. For whatever reason, I don't know. It could be that he felt he'd get more game time. It could be that he felt it was just for that stage in his career, it would be beneficial for him to go and play in Germany. Jadon Sancho obviously did it, didn't he? He didn't want to stay at City and be a fringe player. He went to Dortmund and did it exceptionally well. And Jude Bellingham is doing the same thing at Dortmund. He's had that same sort of career trajectory of leaving England, going to Germany, absolutely smashing it at Dortmund. And now there's talk of him coming back to England, and Manchester United are in the hunt for him. Now, I would love us to get either of those players. Out of the two, given the choice, I'd rather have Bellingham. You might be going, well, why would you not want Haaland? I'm not saying I wouldn't want Haaland. I said if you had to have a choice, I'd prefer Bellingham, because I think, and there's lots of ifs and buts, if Pogba goes, Bellingham comes in. I know they're slightly different, but it's not completely beyond the realms of possibility. If Pogba goes, Bellingham comes in. That sort of fills a Pogba-shaped hole, sort of. Haaland, I think, is a fantastic striker. I also think Mason Greenwood is. And I also think Mason Greenwood can play as our striker for the next decade. Yes, he could play alongside Erling Haaland, or he could play on the right or even the left of Erling Haaland. There's no way. I'm not saying those two can't play together. I just feel that Bellingham probably more essential to Manchester United than Erling Haaland. But I'd happily have either of them. Both of them, I know there's reports of it. It seems unlikely to me. Now, maybe United do go turbo and they go, listen, Dortmund, here's 60-odd million quid for Haaland, and here's a similar sort of amount, or maybe a little bit more for Jude Bellingham. United can spend 130, 140 million in the transfer market, especially if we get some players off our books. Maybe one or two players go out in January or whatever. Who knows? Maybe that can happen, but it's unlikely. We will keep you posted. We will monitor it. We will let you know if there is any movement on either or both of those players, however it may work out. I'm just going to have a look in some of the comments. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about the prospects of Jude Bellingham or Erling Haaland coming to Manchester United, because it is unlikely that Dortmund would sell both players. But maybe they look at it, maybe they go, right, we haven't got a choice with Haaland because he's got a buyout clause. We want to keep hold of Bellingham, but if big money comes in for him, we'll take it. Now, the thing with that is, as well, you got to remember with Dortmund, their MO is they get in young players, they nurture them and they move them on. Now, one thing they do at Dortmund, they're very good at, is they let them go when the player not just wants to go, but when it gets to a point where the player's like, I need to move on now, and the club are like, okay. What I mean by that is they don't want to keep players past the time when players want to be there. So if a player wants to leave, they don't want to say, no, you're not going anywhere. They might say, give us one more season. I think there's a similar thing with Sancho. They said, listen, United aren't coming up with the money we want. One more season, you can go for less. That's what happened. Maybe that's a scenario with Bellingham, because Dortmund like to send out a message as well as young players. You come to this club, you get treated right. Get treated the way you want. You can play a few seasons, build up your profile, help us challenge, play in the Champions League, all that stuff, and then you move on. That's how it works at Dortmund. It works fantastically well. It keeps the club ticking over. They have good footballers. They play good football. And last season, they won a trophy. The only stick you could beat them with is they rarely win trophies. But they did that last season, didn't they? They won the DB Cup, whatever it's called. So that obviously works for them. Maybe there's a thing there where they go, Bellingham really says, listen, I've given you 2 seasons or whatever it is. I want to move on now. And I want to go to Manchester United. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look at what you're saying. Ian Steele says, if we can only get one, it has to be Bellingham. Yep. Aquila Rossa says, Haaland is awesome. Downside is his mafia agent, Mino. I get where you're coming from on both of those comments. Beats Prod by CM says, never going to happen. Tom Greenwell says, with Chris Hughton getting the arse at Forest, should we be thinking about getting Jimmy Garner back into the squad? Very good question, that, bro. Obviously, Chris Hughton's been sacked. I think, is it today? He's been sacked as manager of Nottingham Forest. Jimmy Garner's at Nottingham Forest. They call him I don't know what they call him the Forest Busquets, shall we say? We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Raging Kiar says, you can't replace Pogba, can you? We've got to. I'm not saying you get a player as good as Paul Pogba, but you've got to find someone to fill that void. Maybe it's Donny van der Beek. I don't know. Joe Wesley says, we need to sign Haaland. Jody Nelson says, I think Haaland would hinder Greenwood's progression. Who agrees with that? Do you think he would? Get involved in the comments. Hit that like button as well. Give us a like. We're on 95 likes. Let's get to 100 at least. Come on, people. Hit that like button if you're watching. 500 people watching. Less than 100 likes. Just come on. What's going on there? So, yeah, Haaland or Bellingham would be great. Both would be fantastic. Difficult to get both players from Dortmund. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. We'll have to wait and see. We'll keep you posted, as we always do, on that sort of thing with Manchester United Football Club and transfers on Stretford Paddock. If you're not doing as well, check out the Stretford Paddock merch. There's a link in the chat. Sorry, pinned comment, pinned chat. Paddockmerch.com. I've got a hoodie. We've got all other sorts of stuff there as well. Go and check it out. Now, moving swiftly on. Diogo Dalot. This is from the Manchester Evening News, so you can make your own judgments on that. Diogo Dalot is confident of regaining his Manchester United place from Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Now, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because he's had a bit of a patchy start to the season, shall we say. I thought he looked a bit ropey against Newcastle. I thought there was times when they got down our right-hand side, their left-hand side. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was out of position a little bit and wasn't his usual perfect defensive display. I think defensively, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is second to none as a right-back. I think it's going forward. He can sometimes be found wanting. I didn't think he had a very good game against Newcastle. Obviously got himself sent off against Young Boys. Bit needless. First half, 1-0 up. He's in their half. He lunges in. Unnecessary. Red card. Costs us dearly. So he's not had a perfect start to the season by any stretch of the imagination. Diogo Dalot's come in and done a decent job. Diogo Dalot went to the Euros, of course, because Cancelo, I think, got COVID, so he was drafted in as a sort of last-minute replacement and did okay. I don't think he was fantastic, as some people are saying, but I think he did a decent job. I like Diogo Dalot. I think he's got a great attitude, and I think he's one of those players that offers you something different going forward than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Can he get himself into the Manchester United first team? Can he replace Aaron Wan-Bissaka? I'm not so sure. I still think he's a long way off that. I really do. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka not only is a big signing from Manchester United by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a £50 million signing, I think he's had a very good spell since he started at United. Yes, there's question marks going forward, but I actually think in terms of what he's done for us as a team, he's been a good signing. I think he has. I think if you could go back in time, would you make that signing again? Yeah, I would. So it's not going to be easy for Diogo Dalot, but I like the fact that, it's been reported that he's up for the fight and he wants to try and get into the team. And who knows, the fact that he is better going forward, and United obviously want to play a more more attacking style of play with the fullbacks as well. Maybe that could work in his favour. Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think. Would you like to see Diogo Dalot replacing Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or do you think that Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the right back spot is still his? It's his to lose. I mean, there was talk one of Kieran Trippier coming in. That obviously didn't happen for whatever reason. I think, whatever reason, money. I think Atletico wanted around 30 million quid for him. Never going to happen. When he was reportedly available for £10 million, that made a lot more sense. But not for £30 million for a 30-year-old. I think he's got 1 year left on his contract. Doesn't make much sense to me. Maybe he comes in the summer. Maybe Ethan Laird, who gone on loan to Swansea City, comes in next year and vies for that right back position with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Ethan Laird, who I love, is a very attacking fullback. He's almost a wing back or a winger even. So we'll have to wait and see. As always, we'll keep you posted. I'll just get involved in a couple of the comments, see what people are saying about Diogo Dalot. M17AD says, people forget so fast. AWB saved us against Wolves. Yep. Do you remember that little clearance he made? Definitely AWB. Dalot handy standing, says Glenn F. Jordy Nelson says, I like this. I think it's horses for courses. Play AWB in the games that suit him and vice versa with Dalot. Not a bad shout, that. Rotation. Right, finally, Paul Labille Pogba. We've not had a Paul Labille Pogba story for about 8 hours, so let's do another one. This has come from Fihaji's Net, which is a publication. Well, it's come via them. It's done the rounds in like different papers, and when you scratch beneath the surface, which I always do, I think, okay, where's the source of this story? It's come from here, this website, or this publication, Fihaji's Net, and it says about Barcelona are in for Paul Pogba. Now, I've translated it from the Spanish, so it's a little, when you do that, sometimes the translation is a little bit ropey, but it says Barcelona dreams of Pogba's free arrival. Makes sense. The French midfielder is released next June, and in Barca, they dream of his signing to reinforce a plot they have very weakened. So again, you always get a lot slightly broken English when you do a translator. And it says here, I like this as a starter. There's absolutely nothing in Paul Pogba's situation that can be ruled out. So anything can happen. Nothing. You can't rule anything out, including this story. The possibilities are there, as you can imagine. The French midfielder ends his contract in the season, and in this situation, different avenues are opened, and anything could happen. Goes on to say, I mean, they call them the brides. Another of the brides that has come out is that of FC Barcelona. In conversations between Mino Raiola and Laporte in recent days, Pogba's name came up. The Italian agent let Joe know that his player will almost enter an auction and there will be different teams behind him. But if that were Barca were interested, he would try to convince the French international, I think that should be, to decide on the Catalans before other proposals. The problem we've got with that, I mean, obviously I want to see Paul Pogba stay in Manchester United. I think he's having a fantastic season. I think he's a fantastic player. But his contract's out in the summer. If he doesn't sign a new deal, he's going to go for nothing. Barcelona could be one of his suitors. They don't have a lot of money. They are struggling financially. Have they got the money for his wages? Because he's going to want at least, I think, £500,000 a week. If he's got, especially if he's got it on free. Similar to the Erling Haaland thing, he's going to want big money. So, have Barcelona got that? Memphis Depay had to take a pay cut. You know, they let Griezmann go back to Atletico for, £9 million or whatever it was. Messi left. They're in disarray, Barcelona, financially. And I said, I can't remember who it was who was saying this the other day. I think it might, was it me and Joe, I think, on the watch along? I was saying, I think this is the worst Barcelona team I've seen in my lifetime. Genuinely. You know, I grew up in the sort of, started watching football properly in the late 80s, early 90s. To have the likes of Stoichkov, Romario, that type player, Koeman, Pep Guardiola. Look at the later 90s when they had the likes of Kluivert, Luis Enrique, Rivaldo. Obviously into the Ronaldinho, Eto'o, Messi, Xavi, Iniesta era as you move on. Now, you look at them, they're weak for me. They're not a strong Barcelona team at all. Paul Pogba might look at it and go, that's not the Barcelona team that I'd want to be a part of. I mean, don't get me wrong, if they get Paul Pogba in, they're improved massively, but he's going to want better players around him than I think Barcelona have got. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. I know it's Barcelona Football Club, so there's always going to be that attraction because it's one of the biggest clubs in the world. But we'll see whether that happens. I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget, as well, as I said, to check out the merchandise, paddockmerch.com. There is a link in the chat. Check out all the other videos as well we've got on the channel. You know, we've got you covered. We've got all the podcasts and previews and stuff. We'll be looking ahead as well to the West Ham game this weekend. We'll be at that game as well. We'll also have the watch along. So we'll have you fully covered there with reaction, pre-match, preview, all that good stuff. If you're not doing as well, hit subscribe. We're over 600,000 subscribers now. Let's get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season. That is our target, and with you lot, we can do it. I've been Jay Motti. This has been Stretford Paddock Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.